Hello and welcome. Coming to you from the podcast studio in the mountains of western North Carolina. I'm Josh.
I'm John, and guess what? New Ghost energy drink alert. Sour strips, and it's good.
What? Really? Oh, we gotta talk about that. But this is the Geek ETC podcast, where we dive into all things you can geek out about. Okay, so that's open up some big news now. Tell me about this. What is this?
Yeah, I went into the vitamin shop and trying to sift. I don't always get Ghost from the vitamin shop. When I'm trying to find something just to drink, I'll try some of the other things as well. And I saw a white can, and I was like,
Ooh.
what is this?
I don't know, a white
I
can.
turned
What is
it,
that?
and it was like, like the large square sour strips is what it was, like based off of like Airhead type, or like,
Right.
what are those one? Like, I think the Airhead Extremes type things, and really good.
Oh, yeah.
Really good. Even though, also news, I had COVID all last week, and
Yeah, you did.
and I was able to taste most of it. So
Wow. Did you have any of that, like, loss of taste stuff, same kind
I'm
of thing, or
still
any of
coming
that?
back from it. I'm still, as far as taste and smell, like I could smell my shampoo and body wash today. So
Ooh.
yeah, which is
Hey,
better.
improvements.
It is. It's a better, and this one didn't hit me as bad as the last one did. Like the last one I had back in like October of 2020 when I had COVID, it was more of was longer lasting ill effects for sure. And then my taste and smell was probably a couple weeks, and now we're working on like 5 days, and I'm getting there.
Hmm.
So
Well, dang, I hate you got sick again.
I know,
Like,
man. I
it seems
promised you
like it's
guys.
every other week.
Yeah, I promised you guys. Like uh I have a decent immune system. It's just everybody's getting hit. My sister had it. My mom had it. My wife wound up getting it, and of course, by the time she had it,
Hmm.
it was too late for me.
Right, right. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm trying to stay up to date on my vitamins and immune system boosters, all that kind of stuff. Before we head to Japan, because
Yeah.
being trapped in a metal tube with recirculating air for 14 hours probably isn't going to be great
No.
for immune system. So I'm a little worried about that, but you know, we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to try and stay healthy. And we're actually, we're leaving mid October, and so me and my wife both kind of made this pact that like October 1st, we're essentially starting like a cleanse,
Okay.
and so it's going to be kind of tough and annoying, but it's going to be like you're like only drinking water, no like fried foods or like greasy foods, you know, not like a lot of acidic stuff or sugary things, just a lot of kind of maybe more bland and just basic things, so that, because we both, tend to be succumb to like stomach problems frequently, unfortunately. And so we're just going to try and keep things as simple and bland and easy as possible so that, we don't have any sick issues on the trip.
Well, for sure, I think it was last week's news. A plane had to turn around due
Yeah.
to a
Oh,
diarrhea
right.
problem, right? A woman like with diarrhea, and she's
Oh,
walking down the aisle and pooping as she goes. And you've
God.
not flown
I saw
before,
that.
right?
Yeah, I've flown
Okay.
once.
For me,
But
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I saw that on Reddit, and I texted it to my wife, and then she was just like, "Capital no,"
Yeah.
and I was just like, "Yeah, worst nightmare."
Yeah. So for me, like I never want to even be close to. So for me, going on a plane means the comfiest clothes possible, zero
Mm,
food in my stomach,
right,
drinking a ginger ale or water,
exactly.
very easy going. That's what I'm looking for.
Right. So we're both gonna try and just cleanse our whole systems like weeks ahead of time. So yeah, by the time that day comes and we're 14 hours on a plane, like maybe we may have to get up to like go pee or something, but beyond that, hopefully it stays calm.
You gonna do a colonic? That would be a good cleanse.
I don't know that I will go that far, but
Yeah, I've actually always wanted to do one of those, just from like a weird, uh, because they always talk about like, oh, John Wayne had 26 pounds of like concreted poop in his colon. I'm like, well,
really?
yeah, that like they say stuff like that. I'm like, well, I wonder if like how much. I bet I eat more meat than John Wayne did. So
Hmm. Interesting. Well, any John Wayne aficionados, John Wayne dietitians, if you're, or studied up on that, you can let us know how much his average meat intake probably was for
Yeah.
a man of his size who pretended to be in the Western times.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, he was a college football player. He played for USC, so he's a bigger boy.
Mm.
But yeah, those have always interested me. And then I love like really cleanse. The wife and I both really love sauna. Like there's sauna places to go to, and then
That's one of those things
sauna
that
and
I like.
cold
I've heard
plunge.
so many good things about that. I mean, Rogan talks about that a lot on his show. That he's but granted, he's got all that at the freaking studio and at
Hmm.
his house.
Yeah,
Does it every day.
yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, I've heard many times that yeah, like those saunas. It makes sense. Yeah, you just sweat out any impurities and detoxify and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
Just get it all out. But
I guess well, one of the things that my Found My Fitness, or what is Doctor that he's had on there a few times. I really like her
yes, I know who you're talking about. And there's like the,
heat
the the
shock
shock,
heat shock
yeah, the heat shock
proteins.
thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I I I find that most of the commercial gyms don't give me what as hot as I'm looking for sometimes with the sauna. Like I have to really crank it up, or really pour in the water on stuff to get it up. Like my wife and I, she's not normally able to handle as hot as I am, but she has done the cold plunge for 3 minutes.
really.
Yeah, but we went the last time we did a couples thing. We went. The last time she got in the cold plunge, she did it for 3 minutes, and so that's
Ooh, that's about how long you're supposed to do it, right? It was about only about like 3 minutes.
yeah. So we typically I do like 15 to 20 sauna, 3 in, 15, 20 sauna, 3 in, 15 to 20
Yeah.
in the sauna, and 3 in. I do like 3 rounds of that. And that's a pretty good day. And man, talk about sleeping like a baby.
Oh, I was gonna say, I bet that is like the best
It
sleep.
knocks you out. Like I did it the first time I went with my one of my friends, Nathan, and he took me to the place that I like to go to now in town. And it was the day before a tournament that I was going to be, grappling in. And so I
Mm,
was wanting to do it, just kind of um, muscles and that kind of stuff, just kind of help him out. But the day before, because I was having a lot of issues with my elbow, and I went. I think I was going to play or something with you. I mean, I was just trounced on the way, like on the way back
mm,
home. It was a rough evening.
right. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't. I really want to. It may wait because we're so close, and I've got so much to do before Japan. It's probably going to end up happening afterwards. But that's one of my definite after trip goals is like sign up with some gym or something just to get back into get a little more circulation happen, a little more movement happening. Because I definitely noticed over this last weekend, I put some deep hours into Baldur's Gate, and like my back is feeling it.
Mm,
I mean, I don't have the greatest chair either. I need to get a new chair for my computer, but like I definitely was way more sedentary than I probably should have been, and you can definitely feel it. I can feel it more now. 30 something than I could at early 20s
yeah.
for sure. Like we would sit in game for just as long and not even care. But you can definitely feel it now.
Um, yeah, I totally understand where that's definitely been something I've been needing to stretch more, mainly just because some of I have like an IT band slash hip issue that's been ongoing for a long time, and then I neglect my stretching, especially after rolling for a long period of time, and it's one of those things
Mm,
where I have to be like I actually have to focus on it and do it in order to
right.
not have like a creaky hip that I have to pop
Right.
and
And that's
stuff.
one of those things that even if I didn't end up like going to the gym to like exercise and weightlifting and all that stuff, like I even beyond that, I really want to stretch a lot more
Yeah.
because like it's I'm like ashamed. Like I hate how non-flexible my legs are. Like I want to stretch my legs out, particularly like my hamstrings and stuff, or Let's see. Yeah, that's like the backside of your upper leg, right?
That's right.
Would be
Yeah.
like the hamstrings. Yeah, yeah, like that area there. Like in my mind, I feel like I would like to be able to lay flat on my back and with my legs straight out, be able to lift them into like a 90-degree kind of thing, like with my back on the ground and my feet just, with
Yeah.
my legs just going straight upwards, just a straight L.
Yeah.
But currently, if I keep my back flat and I go to bring my legs up, like I can only get 45 degrees before my knees are like bent.
Okay.
Like I can't keep my legs straight past like 45 degrees without like it being too tight in my hamstrings. It's crazy.
That's interesting. Something that'll help you a lot because I've torn my hamstrings twice. And so recovery for that, one of the things you can do is just like you are now, you sit in a chair, a rolly chair, and you walk forward using your hamstrings to pull, like you pull yourself along just from a seated position. And what that does is it gives you significant strength. It's like a really good way to work out your hamstrings and low impact on you. Better than like if you're starting out and trying to do like leg curls, those can be pretty painful. Like even I'm a
Mm,
big guy. I, I've got big legs. I squat a lot. I can curl and you know leg raise quite a bit. But when I do curls, I get a lot of pain because I've torn that thing twice. And so if you just sit down on your butt in like a rolly chair and just pull yourself forward across the ground, wheel yourself
mm.
around like that, that's a really good hamstring
Huh. I
exercise.
can I can see how that would be that like and like I guess for most ease start out on like a tile or hardwood floor kind of thing, something smooth,
Yeah,
and then expert levels on carpet, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, carpet would be a little bit more
Yeah,
difficult, but yeah, that's like one of those things. I'm super flexible, so it's nice for me.
I used to be.
Yeah,
As a kid, I was ridiculously
yeah.
flexible. I actually got paid $10 in like 10th grade math class to put one of my legs behind my head.
Yeah, I had a kid like that in my class named I was John C, he was John B. We had like a John C, John B, John W, John Y in
Right.
one of my elementary school classes. And John B, I remember him being able to put both of his feet behind his head, like in that kind of like pretzel position, and like
Yeah.
walk around then, like he would use his hands to like creepy crawl his
I
butt
couldn't quite do that.
across the ground. He was an interesting
But yeah,
dude. He was like the epitome. Like he was like, uh, um, who's the guy that was in like Me, Myself, and Irene? Uh,
Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Carrey. He was like Jim Carrey incarnate as a child. Like that's just he looked kind of like
Oh,
him, acted like him. Just really zany dude.
just kind of wild dude.
Yeah,
Right. That makes sense. But yeah, like I definitely want to, yeah, even if I don't, I mean, I want to work out and I'm going to try and do that, but, at least in the meantime, even before I can get in the gym and do that, like I want to at least make it I may just have to set up a nightly reminder or something. My wife's actually been really good about it. She's been having a lot of back pain, but she's been very diligent and a lot of self discipline almost every night and morning doing like some back stretches that she found. And she's saying it's helping her out. So I think I just need to use that as a reminder too that when I see her doing her thing that I join her and get stretched out.
for sure. Well, my wife loved Pilates. She liked Pilates a lot when she was a little bit younger, super flexible, but it also deals with a lot of body weight stuff. And like I've done some Pilates exercises and they're killers. And
Mm,
but I mean one of the biggest things is flexibility is like a strength thing. So like the more
right.
flexible you are, the more like anaerobic strength you'll have just
Right.
naturally versus those who are not typically. Like I've seen a lot of guys who are like pure aerobic marathon runners and their vertical leap is like 6 inches, like they can't jump, they
Yeah.
can't, they're just not built for it. They're built for long distance, long trains,
Endurance stuff.
endurance
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. And I am not. I'm very quick twitch, get,
Right.
get it done quick.
Right. So yeah, I'm just it's one of those 30-year realizations of like I need to start working on myself before it's too late
Yeah. We need to get you,
because you
I want to have you
start
come out.
feeling stuff.
I want to have you come out to. I want to get you training. That'd be fun.
So we'll see. Maybe one day. I don't know.
I think you should be my first student, like my first full time student, and then I should just train you, and then like you show up to places and like I've never really, and then
Be one of the undercover blue belts or
yeah,
something.
that'd be fun. Yeah, I think that'd
Oh.
be cool.
Have you had any chance or opportunity to check out Starfield?
I've been watching some people play it. You told me something, and it's keyed in with me where we were talking about one day Baldur's Gate 3 dialogue and kind of character interaction. You mentioned that Baldur's Gate 3 or like Starfield had similar animations to Fallout 4 and kind of Skyrim, where you just kind of get this zoom in, dead face, no expression.
Mm,
And sure, they
mm,
talk to you, but when you compare that to like Baldur's Gate 3, where somebody's like, their eyebrows are changing, their head is turning, their entire body is moving. Like you just get this much better conversation for an RPG. And I remember looking at that and I was like, yep, that's definitely a thing. I saw Jack Frags or somebody like that. It was just one of
yeah.
the random videos that popped up where he was just trying to put it in like he was like using the tilde key, like putting in like 50,000 watermelons, something like that, trying to break,
Mm,
you end up breaking the game. But it looks interesting for
mm.
sure. I just don't know. I feel like Baldur's Gate 3 actually, I feel like it worked the opposite. I feel like some people felt like Starfield was going to kill Baldur's Gate 3. And you know what I'm saying, early on, because they weren't
No,
familiar with
yeah,
it
no,
or
I know
they hadn't
exactly
played
what you
early
mean.
access. Even Baldur's Gate, like we talked about when it first released, that like, hey, there's some points where you guys can go, naturally stop, go
But
play,
the
and then
thing,
come back to it. But
I feel like a lot of people didn't know really about it, or like maybe I wasn't plugged in or something. Like I usually am to the gaming stuff, but it seemed like I had never really heard much about it. But now that it's out, like yeah, Starfield is definitely taking a back seat.
yeah, like I have no interest in playing it right now. Maybe after they
Like
put out some content or something like that. I think I definitely want to play it. I definitely want to see it. But the fact that
yeah,
I can't play with you, it's a single
that's
player
also a
only
thing.
campaign, and the fact, everybody is very upset the fact that it's just Fallout 4 in space.
Yeah, I think that that was one of the things in my initial, and I may be a little, it may have been, purely my fault for thinking or feeling this way, or even just assuming. Like I admit that I'm probably wrong for assuming that it would be along the lines of similarly to a what I would consider a space simulator, aka No Man's Sky or Elite Dangerous or Starfield, any of those type of RPG esque type of things.
Star
I guess in
Citizen.
my
Yeah.
head, yeah, I had something like that, but thinking about it now and that it's out and stuff, like I mean, it makes sense that it would just be like Fallout in space.
It
I don't
does.
know why I really expected anything else. And all those things being said, like I don't know how many times I've played through Skyrim. Fallout 4 was great.
Mhm.
I had tons of fun with both of them. All those things considering, I think for me, it's just, I guess I was kind of optimistic or hoping for something a little different.
Yeah.
And I think it maybe because of how much I've played Skyrim and Fallout, and I feel like I've done that so many times. Yeah, it's a different set and setting, but it's kind of the same thing. Whereas again, comparison to Baldur's Gate, it is. I mean, the like way back when I played Knights of the Old Republic, that was kind of my first introduction to a somewhat RPG game like this that had multiple branching things and stuff. But this is at like times 1,000, and so having just put as many hours as we have into that, and I can't help but compare it to that. It's like it's just zapped any kind of real interest I had in it.
Yeah. So I was hoping for somewhat of a Star Citizen-esque um game that didn't require, like, have the same system requirements that other people could play. Bethesda missing out on people being able to play those games together, I think is eventually going to get. I mean, I think single player is important. I think you need to have a good single
Yeah,
player experience. But in the same guise, Baldur's Gate 3 has an amazing single player experience, and the
yes, it,
multiplayer
it can
just
be.
enhances it. And I want that from a Bethesda game. Now, so for Starfield, as I watched them play it, you know, my issue is not the fact that it's Fallout 4 in space or whatever. My issue is that Fallout 4 came out like 6 or 7 years ago, and graphics wise and engine wise, it doesn't have that like new feel to it that Fallout 4 had
Exactly.
when it came out, where I was like, "Oh, this game is beautiful. This looks really good." And people had some sick mods for it that even cleaned it up even better. I want
Yeah.
to see, that kind of thing. I want to see a little bit better gunfighting. In one of the guys I play FPS games with, sometimes my buddy Matt, he said, I also don't love kind of like when I shoot somebody with like this gun that's supposed to be really powerful in the head, and then like their just health bar goes down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I noticed that. I was watching a playthrough on YouTube of like the first little bit of it, and they literally commented on that they like took over and crouched behind a box, and the enemy was on the other side of the box, and you could just see like their forehead, like the top half of their head. So of course, with the pistol, just starts wailing on that, and it's just like it reminds me of Borderlands, where it's just ticking away like bits of the health bar kind of thing. It's not where like when you hit it, like the most prime example I guess would be like GTA 5 or something. Like when you shot somebody head, like their head like jerks back and like the body just like falls kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like there's a visceral reaction to
Yes.
getting shot in a specific place or
Well, even
something.
Borderlands, I mean, you had that huge multiplier for headshots. You know, you,
Well, that's true. I mean, that's the thing. Heads specifically, yeah, they would just blow up. But
sure. I I
yeah,
I don't mind if like I'm shooting a super mutant and like for some reason the head doesn't, like if I'm shooting an alien
yeah,
in the head, I've seen enough movies where I'm like not expecting them to die or whatever, or
like Halo kind
Halo
of thing.
kind of
Like
thing.
that makes sense.
But when I shoot a
Yeah.
Marine in the head, like in Halo, I want them to die straight up. And that's the same thing with this. Like I want, I don't, obviously Baldur's Gate 3, we're dealing with level characters and they're slicing and they're hitting and everything. But when I'm aiming the gun and moving around and it's not turn based and I shoot someone and I'm having a good engagement, I don't want their level slash health to be able to, like, if I went into the wrong area, right, and they've got a little skull icon about around them and I'm doing better than they are, but then they one shot me because their gun does 25 more times more
Hmm.
damage than I do. I think that's another thing that I don't enjoy. And um I think that's another point where I am interested in like the shipbuilding, putting all
Yeah.
those ships together. I've seen some pretty cool models done of those where people have, made like the Forward Unto Dawn or whatever.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of people have like made these recreations because I think but in it scaled down because I think the longest you can have your ship is 100 meters, and so people have
Hmm.
been scaling their ships, like a 1/16th model of what
Right.
they're
Right.
able to do it, and I think it's neat. I
That's pretty
think there's
cool.
some neat things in it, you know. But man, it just has not pulled me the way it would have done. I think I would have been really pulled to play it had it not been for Baldur's Gate 3.
Exactly. And this is a very Xbox centric comment, but to me it's a perfect example of like a something I would try out on Game Pass but wouldn't buy
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, oh, this game's on Game Pass. Oh, for sure, I'll check it out, and I may play a ton of it, kind of thing. But like $70, I
Mm.
don't. Mm, I don't know if I'm feeling it.
Yeah, so for me, like,
But now I'm wishing I would have bought the like premium version of Baldur's Gate, like
yeah,
whatever fancy one that came with like the statue and like a D20 and all
the
that kind of stuff.
$200 one, yeah, that
Yeah.
would have been intense. Yeah, that would have been cool. I you know, um, my big games is Baldur's Gate 3, Squad, and then Warno, which is a real-time strategy game, based on uh Cold War-ish era factions. And
Mm.
I that's like my big 3 that I'm playing right now. And props to Squad. OWI, they've been putting out a whole bunch. So for those who aren't familiar with Squad, we've talked about it in the past. Really good first person shooter, tactical mill sim game. And they are doing a complete infantry combat overhaul right now. Really
Mm.
innovative on their end.
I'm excited about that.
There's been I think they're on their 7th playtest, and I think what I'm hoping that they're taking community feedback, I think, pretty well from this, and I'm hoping they're going to put out a pretty cool new polished thing that's going to make it feel like a new game, even though I'm perfectly happy with it as is. Because it's another one of those games
Yeah.
that I like hopping in with you or some of my other buddies and running armor or running around and doing infantry stuff, and it's just such a every game is a little bit different, and when you have a really good game it feels really good. And when you have a really bad game, it makes you just want to quit, but it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, and then Warno, yeah, my buddies and I have been playing that and trying to get into the multiplayer a little bit, and that's a little bit stressful for me because they know the game and mechanics better than I do, but trying to help
Mm.
out as much as I can, you
Right,
know.
right.
Um,
Yeah, so that's one thing I'm looking forward to as well. When eventually when BG3 comes out on Xbox, is so me and the wife can do a co-op run, a split screen co-op run on the console. Because I still haven't heard that. I haven't heard any confirmation or anything that there is crossplay
yeah,
between PC and Xbox. There's cross saves, so you know if that time comes around, she can transfer her character she started on my computer to the Xbox, which would be nice, and then we can just play couch co-op there. But I'm wondering. Well, I guess would it have? It should have online co-op. I mean, it does have split screen, but I don't see why it wouldn't have online co-op.
yeah. I mean, for Xbox to Xbox for sure. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
yeah,
I'm just trying. I'm hoping that all three of us can play
yeah,
in a campaign. That's what I want.
yeah.
As even my coworker for my full time job, John, he's like kind of interested in playing it when it comes on Xbox too.
That'd be fun. Have a whole group of four.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I've seen a lot of people go off the rails. I've seen some gameplay videos for Baldur's Gate 3 where
Mm,
the you know, they're just shoving their buddies in the water and stuff and killing them. Like, and they're,
yeah,
you know, luckily we're not like that. I don't think we're that
no,
immature with it, but it is interesting to see how much you can kind of screw up one another's campaign.
right.
But
But to me, I feel like I would want to play. I'm interested to play like when that day eventually comes. We get to do that. Um, you know, having the fact that me and you put so many hours into it, like I would definitely feel like I would want to specifically be some kind of support role. Because
mm,
obviously, if you've got like 3 to 4 custom characters in a thing, then that's that many less of the companions you're going to have with you.
yeah,
And so somebody's got to fill some of those roles. I mean, you don't really have to. You can really kind of play whatever you want in this game. But I feel like just to like, there would be some obviously some guidance and maybe a little teaching with some of the stuff because some of the things can be pretty difficult sometimes.
yeah.
But
I've
I'd like to make like some kind of either like cleric or fighter, just something either a tank or some kind of purely support wizard or something, just to kind of help out with situations.
Yeah, I've definitely been proselytizing it a lot with trying to get people to play it, especially now it's on PS5. I've been telling people on PS5, like, hey, you should be playing this
Yeah,
game. It's really good. And yeah, I think this makes like the fifth episode. We've talked about it probably now. Who knows? We even had an
right.
entire Baldur's Gate 3 episode. So
Maybe when we can actually complete at least the first full playthrough of it, then we might calm down a little bit.
yeah,
But
yeah. But then we're going to be playing our evil campaign. And
that's
I'm
true.
already stoked for that.
Yes.
Um, let's see. I've recently I saw a clip on YouTube recently of a TV show and was reminded that Apple has its own streaming service and signed up for a 3-month trial for
Yeah.
that. And we have just started watching The Foundation on Apple and
Apple TV.
Apple TV, and we've only watched 2 episodes, right? So this is just a early my thoughts on it, but it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. And I remember like watching it after I watched the first episode, looking at my wife and like, that was really cool. Did you not think that was really cool? Like, this is really interesting because it was some of the best sci-fi that I've
Hmm.
seen. And it's based off like the Isaac Asimov, who's like one of the fathers of like
Yeah.
science fiction. And seeing
The trailer looks really good. Like quality of it
Well,
and
that's what I'm
stuff.
saying. When I watched this, I felt I got the Star Wars Episode 1 feeling that, like, this stuff look when you watch episode 4, 5, 6 of Star Wars, really neat, great show, great movies. We all love Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6, the classics. But when I watched the new ones and you see Coruscant and Naboo and these really interesting
Mm.
planets, I'm getting the same thing from there, except shot like masterfully shot,
Oh wow, yeah.
amazing, amazing visual effects. The acting has been unbelievable so far. I've not had a single actor in that show where I'm like, "Ugh, I wish they would have
This looks
recast."
crazy.
It's good. It is so good. And the first 2 episodes, I'm hooked. I've
Like it looks like a movie. Looks like a trailer for a movie, but it's a
and there's
series, right?
2 seasons out already, and I'm hoping there's a 3rd
Really?
season out. Yes. So we're 2 episodes in, and they're, like, long episodes. They're, like, over an hour, like, hour, 6 minutes or something like that. It's formatted directly for that. And even things like, Liam Neeson, when he played Qui-Gon Jinn, still, like you'll still have people that have, like, almost British accents kind of,
Mm.
and one of the main female characters in this, Gail, like, the way her voice sounds, like, the way her accent goes, it's so unique, but, like, also just natural, like, you hear it, and people have also mentioned, like, "Oh, you're from whatever planet because that's your accent." But I was like, "Oh, man, this is really, really, really good." And so I
Hmm.
guess the first 2 episodes, and this is not spoiling anything, but essentially there's a galactic empire, right? Very Frank Herbert, Dune-esque, very Star Wars, obviously. You can tell that George Lucas saw this stuff, read these things. He read Isaac Asimov and probably read
Yeah,
Frank
yeah.
Herbert and based a lot of his stuff off of that, which is fine. That's what you do. You emulate things that are really good. And then he puts Coruscant on the in TV and in the movies, and now you have Trantor, which is like the main planet, like the capital planet of this galactic empire, which is very also like an ecumenopolis worldwide planet, and it's beautiful and it looks really good, and you get that same kind of Blade Runner, Star Wars Coruscant feel to it, and I love it. Uh, so far, pretty psyched about it. If you have Apple TV, you should check it out. If you haven't, because which I don't know why you wouldn't, because there's not a whole lot of stuff on there, but it
Right.
is really, 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 really pretty. And
It looks like it.
it's essentially there's a galactic empire. Mathematician has solved this thing he calls like um, psychohistory or whatever as like his theory, and it's like this equation that allows him to predict what large populations will do and that the empire is going to fall. And so they're you get this kind of adversarial thing from there. But um yeah, I didn't know what to expect with it. I had seen it. I was like, "Hey, wife, we should check this out. We should try Apple TV." And she's like, "Oh, it sounds interesting. Let's do it." And sure enough, I am more than hooked on it. So, very excited.
That's yeah, that looks really good. Yeah. Of course I don't have Apple TV, but
Mhm.
that looks
They have a
interesting.
3-month trial, and then my wife, when she signed up for it, it just uses your Apple ID. So it was like the simplest sign up she's ever done. And I think it'll be pretty easy to get out of. If some people, i.e., us, sometimes we'll just drift in and out of streaming services
Yeah.
on a trial
I think
basis.
that's kind of the like way to operate now is like yeah, you'll do this streaming service this month or two and then you'll cancel it and start another one.
I mean,
And every now and then when you're far enough like removed from the last time you signed up, you'll like qualify for another
yeah,
2 or 3 week trial.
but this was like a 3-month trial, I think. So pretty
Mm.
impressive so far. I also want to say mad shout out to Ahsoka. Really been enjoying that. I think there's a new episode. Is there a new episode out? Like,
Speaking of which, we and me and my wife went to this local pub to go get some food maybe a week and a half ago or whatever, and one of my good friends is the bartender there, and he's a big Star Wars. He's really into Star Wars stuff, and he was asking me, he's like, have you like caught up on Ahsoka and stuff? And I was like, I haven't seen an episode of it. I also haven't seen the latest Mandalorian or the uh
Andor.
Andor or any others. And he was like so upset with me. He's like ashamed to be my friend because I haven't seen like any of that Star Wars stuff.
I really do think you're missing out with Andor, and I really think I mean Ahsoka
Mm,
is definitely worth it. I feel like Andor was the first one where I'm like, hey, you are
yeah.
actually missing out on something. Ahsoka, I don't know so much. Like if you're a Rebels fan, I feel like this is just tuned towards you. But the TV shows, the new episode comes out on the 12th, and um, I'm pretty stoked for it. Like there's been some um, really interesting fight scenes. There is some acting in it that I think is subpar, and there's been a couple visuals that I've not loved or like kind of set ideas. Like there was some bad guys and space fighters, and the space fighters just looked too much like World War II era fighters, and I didn't like that. And it reminded me too much of the Mandalorian, which I am unabashedly not a Mandalorian fan anymore. It
Mm,
has quickly been like one of those shows where I'm like, this is like a show that I just don't enjoy, and especially after Andor and now this. But I think Andor so far is definitely the best Star Wars TV show. Honestly, it and Rogue One are the two best things Star Wars has done since Episode 3, in my opinion.
wow.
Um, but Ahsoka is doing a really good job. I'm really excited with it. I loved the Clone Wars cartoons. I like Rebels and the mix of those. There's been some really good scenes. Like the actress who's playing Sabine Wren, um, I feel like she is kind of um, and this is nothing against her personally because I don't know her, but she's kind of killing it because she's just got this weird vibe and like the way she acts is just a little different. And um, I guess it's hard to pull cartoon characters off of the drawing board and put them on the big set, but it's her her reprisal of Sabine's been kind of killing me, even though she's supposed to be kind of like upset and a little bit depressed or whatever. Just her acting in general doesn't do it for me. And there's been a couple scenes like that, like where just the writing's been off, but overall, solid 4 out of 5 for me. Um, and pretty stoked to see where it goes from there. And there's been some cool like Star Wars, like some really cool Jedi fights, or sorry, lightsaber fights that have happened. And um, I've seen new things. Sometimes I think those can get a little stale, like people fighting with lightsabers, like which sounds, I don't think I would ever say that
Yeah.
before, but there was some new choreography in at least two episodes that I've seen where I was, oh, that was cool, and I
Right.
like that.
Yeah, I like a good bit of the that's one thing I always liked. I think we've talked about it before that I liked in the early in like episodes 1, 2, and 3 and stuff was the more flourishy type of lightsaber combat. The more martial arts inspired instead
Mhm.
of just like dueling, kind of like fighting with broadswords type of thing, but more acrobatic type of stuff. That some of those things that keeps my attention
Yes.
better.
Yes. And, I've been worried because, like, David Filoni has kind of failed me with other things, i.e., The Mandalorian. But with this one, like, there was a fight scene, I think, in the second episode, where I was legitimately, oh, that was a cool thing, where Ahsoka was fighting a droid, and then there was a really cool scene where she and this other person were fighting, and um, I like it when they show the different lightsaber forms. You see them kind of measuring up
Right.
and changing their stances a couple different times. And I think in episode 4, there was a scene where they paid homage to one of the Rebels episodes where Obi-Wan finally kills Darth Maul. And they have this brief lightsaber entanglement, zip, 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 while they're doing some interesting things. Then there's a break, some measuring going on, and you actually get the classic samurai go past type of thing. One quick strike ends it. And
Hmm.
I think that was pretty hot on on that part. So uh very much very much enjoying Ahsoka so far. So if you guys are on the end, like whether you should watch it, I think you definitely should be watching Ahsoka.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, the only TV show that's been playing here is been Law and Order SVU.
Oh,
Because my that's my wife's all into them crime shows, so she's been that's the current series she's binging through. But it's funny because like the episodes she's in like season 2 I think or something that's like early 2000s, like 2001 or 2003 or something, and it's wild to kind of look at society back then and like see some of the dated things from
yeah,
back then, like how much it's
like
changed.
Ice T.
Yes, well, and the fact that he has a ponytail,
Yeah.
that was one of those things that he's got his hair in like a ponytail thing and stuff, and you're like, that didn't look good, man. You shouldn't have done that.
I think the lack of score in Law and Order, like the Law and Order shows, kind of kills me. Like
Dun dun.
that score is fine, but
That's like all they
that's
have.
all they have. But like, it almost winds up being like a little soap opera esque to me sometimes. I mean, other than the sets are better,
Right.
but I just I can't do those shows.
It's tough for me too. Like I can like I've like grown to be accustomed to them because she like watches them all the time and stuff. So I'm fine with them like being on in the background or whatever. But they're never really gonna like like grab my attention
Yeah,
to like and like suck me in.
yeah. I'm never like, oh, Detective Sarah Benson. Wow, like it just doesn't interest me. You're dealing with um it's the same thing over and over again. And
Mm-hmm.
whereas something like a True Detective, right, for
Mm-hmm.
me, when you're talking crime shows,
I wonder if she would like that.
the first season she would love, especially with the occult that the stuff that goes on with it. The first season of True Detective is a masterpiece, probably one of the best shows I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like the writing, it's definitely Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey's best acting for me by any stretch, like by a long stretch. Like they're so good in it. And um the cinematography, like there's one episode where they do like a really long continuous shot, like action scene where there's stuff going on, and it is really beautiful. Um and it takes place in an interesting, like new NYPD. Obviously, there's 30,000. I think NYPD has like 35,000 police officers. So sure, there's a lot of interesting stories and whatever. But I just get so tired of New York, like being in everything. Like everything's New York or Washington or LA.
I think that's one of my kind of things. It's just these same old big cities,
Yeah.
and it's
It's like we got to go up to this apartment because this guy's a bad guy. I'm like, okay, oh, you're not smart. We tricked you, or like this guy's really smart. We got to catch him, And then they do their they do their one little thing, and they're like, we gotcha. And they always know more than they let the audience know. And then something
yeah.
happens where like, oh, we solved the crime, and because of this. And like that's the big reveal. And I don't like it when they make me feel stupid because I should know. I want to know what they're working with. And
That's why I never liked Scooby Doo.
yeah, exactly. Um, but
Anyway,
True Detective, you're in Louisiana. It's following Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson are both Louisiana State Police detective division. So like, most states have like a Bureau of Investigation or like a state police entity that has like investigate, like, they're not just troopers pulling people over for speeding or whatever. Like they're, working with human trafficking or helping smaller agencies out with homicide investigations or whatever. And in this one, they're Louisiana State Police. So you get this, but it's not like a dumbed down, Louisiana. Like you see some like very country and very swamp areas, but like it still feels like Anywhere USA in a lot of scenes. And we're also focusing on the people, like who are these guys? And so man, I don't know. I think True Detective is a masterpiece. I think it was so well written, and there's a lot of interesting things with like the corruption and government stuff that goes on in that one, and on top of just uh, weird occult things, and you just get a great mix of all of it.
Right.
Um, and then season 2 of True Detective, also a big fan. People don't like it because it's different than the first season, but the second season takes place in California, and it is LA based, which, you know, but it also takes place, it's also very corruption heavy, very, you've got like Rachel McAdams and God, I forgot the other, Colin Farrell, isn't it? And Colin Farrell's
Mm,
playing this like corrupt cop, and then you've got another guy in there, and they're all really well written characters that you get invested in. And especially Colin Farrell's character has this kind of like redemption arc going on, and it again has to do with like public corruption. You get kind of like the uh you know them trying to rescue someone from people. And then the third season I thought was pretty good. It takes place in Arkansas. It's definitely the least action oriented season, but it has it has a couple of good shootouts in it. It's got some interesting story with it, but it's not as compelling, I think, as the other two seasons, especially the first season. But this next season that's coming out, which is it doesn't have a release date, but they have had a trailer for it, has Jodie Foster in it, and it takes place in Alaska, and it looks pretty good.
right. Cool. Um, Going off a different direction here, but something that I just saw today, um, in the realm of music festivals.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Blue Ridge Rock Fest?
No.
I hadn't either till today. Apparently, it's been a thing, and also apparently there's some like issues around it
Really?
and stuff. As far as like they were like super sketchy on like keeping like ticket holders like up to date on information and stuff, and access to different things and how different stuff was going on. But it just went on over this last weekend.
Really?
It was September 7th through 10th, or it was supposed to be. Apparently they did it, so they did Thursday and Friday, but it got canceled for Saturday and Sunday because of rain,
Okay.
which sucks. But um, I'm sending you a link. So that's the lineup that was supposed to be there.
Oh geez, wow. That's
Like, just scroll down through there. Like, I mean, this is literally so many people that I would have and it like loved to see. So we've got like Slipknot, Pantera, Shinedown, Five Finger Death Punch, Evanescence, Stained, Papa Roach, 3 Days Grace, Rise Against. I mean, so many bands. Like for some reason, they've got like Flow Rida, 3 6 Mafia, Two Chains, and a
Soldier
few other
Boy.
people too.
Yeah, like
Yes, Soldier Boy,
there's
Vanilla Ice, and Insane Clown Posse. I'm not sure what that's about.
and where is this supposed to happen at?
This was in Virginia.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
And so
and it
did
just
all these bands actually show up?
I don't know if they all show, but I mean, for one, that is to book all of these bands, has got to be an obscene amount of money.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like I
Yes.
mean, it is everybody like in the rock world. Like there's some bands here, and I'm like, I didn't even know they were touring.
It's got that Oliver Anthony guy on there that
Yeah, Oliver. That's one of the things I saw. Yeah, that guy that's blowing up from the Richmond, north of Richmond. He was there. But yeah, you've got
Blue
Death
October.
Clock from Metalocalypse. What was that?
Blue October.
Oh yeah,
Um Baby Metal. Wow.
yeah. Baby Metal was there, which I'm like, good lord.
Yeah, this concert,
So yeah,
this is not like necessarily my speed as far as music goes, but it is
no,
interesting. Uh, I've never heard of it, and you would think that this would be like Woodstock. Like people would just know the
R-
name of
r-
it.
right. But yet there's so many things on here, like so many bands that I would love to have seen. But this is definitely one of those kind of deals where like it's because it's a 4 day thing. You kind of go and like camp, like you kind of you have to be committed to it. Like you go there and you have a tent and you just camp and you're just living at this place for 4 days.
So it says, I guess it's saying like the North America's largest rock and metal festival is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Which that I had never heard. I heard there was one called Carolina Rebellion that I remembered hearing about a lot a
Yeah,
number of years ago. I don't know if that's still. I don't think that's still going on. Maybe this has kind of replaced it or something. But yeah, I maybe this that very well could be the first year it even existed, and they just went crazy big with it. I don't know,
it could be. I mean,
but
their Instagram is not that, old. It doesn't seem, but they definitely have. They only have 110,000 followers on
mm.
Instagram, which is weird.
And it does only show that like when you click a lineup, it only shows the 2023 lineup, which just happened. So yeah, I'm guessing that this might just be the first year, but yeah, apparently there was a ton of drama and all kinds of issues in the actual management of this show.
Yeah, like
Like there was a lot of problems and a lot of refunds and all kinds of stuff.
you work your way up to this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you work your way
Right.
up to having like a lot of people would just come for a Slipknot concert. A lot of people would come for
Oh
a
yeah.
Papa Roach or Limp Bizkit or Shinedown and Pantera. Like if you had Pantera and Five Finger Death Punch at the same time, but putting all of this on there, and trying to schedule it. Not to mention, I mean, we're looking at what is this? Three across and maybe like 30 deep. You're talking about hundreds of artists, hundreds
Yeah.
upon
So
hundreds of
many.
roadies, all of their people, all of their trucks, all of their stuff. There's just no way that I would be like, you know what, I'm going to do in the backwoods of Virginia, try to do this. This is,
It seems a little over ambitious.
it does seem a little
Again,
overambitious.
that's me admitting I don't know. I just found out about it today, and I don't know any of the real true logistics or anything, actual info about it. But just going off what I'm seeing in front of me, like yeah, I agree. It seems a little much.
Well, I feel bad that
But
some people had a rough time with it. So,
yeah, like yeah, the first 2 days apparently went down. Um, but yeah, there was the video. The reason I heard about this is there was a video that had Oliver Anthony, Shinedown, and Papa Roach singing "Simple Man."
oh, interesting.
Yeah, because like Shinedown did that revision of it, that remix of it, and yeah, so they were all doing that. I was like, that I didn't expect to see them all on the stage together, but yeah, so like a handful of people got to play apparently, but yeah, then it got rained out. But yeah, I just saw this. I was like, man, if that was closer and there was a big enough indoor arena to house these people, I might would go check it out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for all our metal monsters out here, I would say look into that for 2024 if they have it again, because it is definitely a big to do. I was mad because even locally here, we live in Western North Carolina. Asheville has a decent music scene. Um, Obviously not huge festivals like we used to, but they had, even at the Orange Peel, which is one of the main music venues in town, they've had a lot of interesting bands recently that I would like to see. Like Tegan and Sarah, First Aid Kit.
Hmm.
I really like First Aid Kit. I would have loved to have seen them, but unfortunately I have to work. Just sad, but it is. There was like four or five bands that I like, kind of alternative bands that would have been fun to check out.
Right. I haven't heard of that. What was that? Dan, I haven't heard of them.
First Aid Kit.
Yeah, I don't recognize that.
So I like them. They have this very Americana twang to them. It's two sisters. It's primarily a
Mm.
vocal. They're primarily vocal singers, and they are both from Sweden, but they sound like they are country music stars almost, if that makes sense. They
Hmm.
sound like Southern country music stars, and and I mean that in a good way, because not everybody loves country music, but you get like a
Mhm.
really good feeling from them. And like there's a video of them like singing to the Swedish King. They do like a you know where they're talking about like Johnny Cash and June and all the like those people. Like it's like an
Right.
ode to them, and they're singing. And I think one of the girls who they're talking about. Uh, is there and she's sitting near the Swedish King. It's just like a weird video, man. Like, but it's cool. Like you hear them singing and like whenever I have people that are riding with me at work and that song, like one of their songs comes on that I have, I'll be like, guess where they're from? And they'll be like, I don't know, Ohio or, South Carolina or what, I'm like Sweden. They're from Sweden. Just an interesting band.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, go check them out if you ain't heard of them. I'll have to do that myself.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. You know,
Yeah, that's a little catch up on what's going on.
yeah,
Uh,
man.
hopefully, you don't get sick again next week.
I hope not, man. I hope not. And yeah, we need to get together and put together some mini episodes that'll be pre-scheduled for release for your big trip. And
Yeah,
man, I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited for a lot of stuff coming up. And honestly, I'm getting pretty excited because tonight I'm going to watch another episode of The Foundation. So you guys should definitely check that
cool.
out. Check out The Foundation. Check out Ahsoka. Listen or read some Brandon Sanderson. That's kind of what's going on in my life right now. And then
Yeah.
Josh and I need to stretch.
We need to stretch and then I'll go play Baldur's Gate some more.
Absolutely.
But on top of that, go check us out at all the popular social media platforms like Instagram. Search Geek ETC Podcast. Also on Twitter. Also at youtube.com. You can search all one word Geek ETC Podcast and find our podcast there if you'd rather listen there. But if not, it is also available on all the major podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, all the good ones. And beyond that, you can also go to geeketcpod.com and check out the website there
Yeah.
as well. We have all the episodes posted there that you can check out. And beyond that, if you enjoyed this and you would like to hear more and you want to, help support what we're doing here and help us with some of the cost of upkeep and all that kind of thing, keep some bread on the table, as they say, then you can go to patreon.com/geeketcpodcast and, help us out there. You can join our crew for as little as $1 a month. That's only, what, a few quarters? That's 4 quarters. That's nothing. You find that in your car seat. So go search your car seat, find some quarters, give it to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be really nice.
So yeah, we just want to say thank you. We appreciate you listening. Sorry we missed last week. We're trying to get back on track. My vacation screwed everything up. Josh is going on vacation. We're trying to get everything back up and running, but we will stay consistent. We will have episodes out. We're not going to take like a extended hiatus, that's for sure. Follow us online. Follow us, check out our awesome website that Josh has up and running. And just know that we appreciate you guys. We love the community. If you guys want to talk to us or tell us about a movie, tell us about a band, tell us about a festival, we like talking to you guys. Send us a message. DM us on Instagram. That's one of our most popular places to talk to you.
Yeah, I was going to say Instagram would be probably one of the best places. That's also typically where, if we are, do have to miss an episode or something due to sickness or vacation or whatever, that's usually where the first update will go out. Will be on Instagram. So go check that out and stay updated with what we got going on.
Absolutely. And remember, geeks fight better together.
Stay healthy, stay fit, and keep geeking out.